An escaped inmate is back in jail.
And BB residents will be pleased with their new fire insurance rates. Stay with us. Live at 5 is just moments away. Good evening and welcome to TV 16 News Live at 5. I'm Latoya Riley.
And I'm Rachel Asbell. A capital murder suspect is back in custody today. 28-year-old Torrance Henry escaped from a Texarkana, Texas jail just yesterday. A tip led Bowie County Sheriff's officials to a Texarkana home where Henry was sleeping. Henry surrendered peacefully. An escape charge is pending. The escapee is charged with capital murder and a 2003 shooting death. Officials say Henry escaped with 2 other inmates just before dawn yesterday. The inmates gouged out a hole in the ceiling that led to the electrical wiring system. From there, the inmates left from a fire escape. The 2 other inmates were captured 10 minutes later and were charged with escape.
An Arkansas woman pleads not guilty to the death of her husband. Ann Thornberry, along with her boyfriend Mark Holzenbach and his roommate William Frazier, faced charges of capital murder in the death of her husband, Ted Thornberry. The 3 were captured in April after a 2-week search. Investigators found charred human remains near the Thornberry's property that they say are Ted Thornberry. Ted's father filed a lawsuit against the 3 on August 6th, claiming they conspired to kill his son. He is seeking compensation for mental anguish, fear and apprehension of death endured by his son.
BB's fire insurance rates may decrease. The Insurance Service Office lowered BB's rating from a Class 5 to a Class 4. Fire Chief William Nix says the city has been working on the new rating for several years, but was trying for a Class 3. If they were to get a Class 3 rating, they would be the only volunteer fire department in the state with it. Nix states the ISO does not want an Arkansas city with a volunteer fire department to be a Class 3. Nick credited the lowered rate to several factors, including 2 new fire trucks in '99 and the possession of a ladder truck in 2002. The ISO announced the new ranking to Mayor Don Ward last week. Ward made the letter known at Monday night's City Council meeting.
Searcy City Council members are considering raising garbage rates. Council members looked over the numbers Monday night in preparation for a possible vote on garbage rates next week. Mayor Belinda LaForce opened the meeting by saying the meeting was for informational purposes only. LaForce says that she expects a change in commercial dumping rates, but no definite plan has been set. Garbage rates could rise as early as October 7th.
Up next, TV 16 has more information on the presidential campaigns.
But first, let's take our first look at the weather. Andrew?
Well, we've had absolutely beautiful weather in Searcy. You can't deny that. But it is time for some rain, and believe it or not, it looks like we might be getting some this weekend. I'll let you know how it might spoil your plans or make your plans right after this. Stay tuned. What did I just say?
I've had the same friends since I was a little kid, but this year, some of them started playing with these other kids. I guess there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, it's cool making new friends and all, but they weren't like us. They were, different. And I heard my big brother saying some pretty bad stuff about people like them, but they seemed pretty cool, and we had a pretty good time. So, maybe my brother doesn't know everything.
Hey, Carlos, come on, we need you.
Don't be afraid.
Be your friend.
More than half of America's most important military decisions are made here. No, it's not the Pentagon or NORAD or the headquarters of Air Combat Command. It's the place that employs over 50% of our armed forces. It's where you work.
See you in a couple weeks.
So when your employees in the National Guard and Reserve need time off to serve, give them the freedom to protect ours.
Before the first round of presidential debates, how is President George W. Bush preparing to fight to keep his job? In contrast to what some see as Mr. Kerry's aloof style, the president is expected to speak bluntly.
Meanwhile,
well, President Bush, and a great advantage in this debate for him is that he knows what he thinks, why he thinks it. He'll be talking about the record, his fine record of progress here, and he'll be talking about the agenda going forward, his vision for the future, where he wants to lead the country, how he wants to, and the plan that he has for winning the war on terror specifically. And then a lot of, well, this is not a domestic debate, but he does have a lot of plans going forward for the next term.
Meanwhile, Democrat John Kerry may pull from his experience as a prosecutor to outshine the president at the critical showdown. Democrats say the 8 debates in Kerry's 1996 Senate race are memorable.
in Iraq, one man is dead after U.S. planes fire on a vehicle carrying rockets in Baghdad's slum neighborhood of Sudar City. The U.S. military says its troops conducted a precision airstrike there on Wednesday, and that troops destroyed the vehicle, detonating several explosives. The drivers of the targeted vehicle reportedly fled. The only victim in this attack was a 21-year-old man who died when a rocket crashed into a civilian home. Mourners gathered today to pay final respects to him during a funeral.
Israel's army raids the northern Gaza Strip, igniting heavy exchange of gunfire. During the military operation, Palestinian medics and witnesses say Israeli soldiers killed 1 Palestinian militant and 3 other militants were injured. Israeli troops reportedly used helicopters and 100 armored trucks to conduct today's raid, which targeted militant strongholds. An Israeli military source says the operation is aimed at stopping the firing of Qassam rockets and mortars into Israeli towns and settlements.
The brother of the British man held hostage in Iraq tells one international news agency he's received a written message suggesting his brother may soon be freed.
We have been communicating with President Yasser Arafat, pleading for Ken's life and asking him to, do all he can. He then confirmed that he would be doing all he can, and he would dispatch a minister to Baghdad to assist in any way possible. That was about 2-3 days back. In the meantime, King Abdullah of Jordan, he was doing his shuttle diplomacy through France and Italy. He pleaded for the life of the 2 the 2 French journalists, and also for the 2 Italian ladies. The 2 Italian ladies have now been released, as you know. There are noises going around that the 2 French journalists will be released imminently. At that time, late last time, Amsterdam time, a email came in the Arabic language into Rome. This was then promptly translated into English. I then received a copy of this, which I will share with you, and I will email it to you when I finish this conversation. In this email, it's not just any old email. It's been well thought through. The wording and the balance and the format of the communique has been well professionally, intellectually thought through. The choosing of the words, once again, very intellectually, very astutely thought through, and the message therein, very, very professional, very, very international business-like. And it goes on to say, the bottom line really, that they are going to show mercy for Ken and imminently release him.
Hostage Ken Bigley's brother, Paul, says he is 90% sure contents of the message are true. This comes after a delegation of British Muslims returned to London empty-handed. They had gone to Baghdad to press for Bigley's safe release after his 2 American colleagues were put to death. The British government says it's doing everything possible to secure his release.
The lava dome in Mount St. Helens to be growing, which may be the sign of a possible eruption. This growth, about 1.5 inches, may be coming from a buildup of gases within the volcano. The growth may also be from molten rock moving into the dome. Cascade Volcano Observatory's chief scientist, Jeff Wynn, says these measurements may be inaccurate due to the fact there is only 1 measuring device in the dome. Wynn says scientists may need around 48 hours to more clearly interpret the data. Scientists are keeping a close eye on the volcano, which has been stirring since Thursday. Central California following a magnitude 6.0 earthquake yesterday morning.
There are no reports of injuries or major damage. The quake was centered near the town of Parkfield, known as the state's earthquake capital. Affiliate KRON reports now from Parkfield on this story.
Hit of all, Jim Batson was showing us the damage at his ranch home just south of Parkfield tonight when the earth moved again. Though nerve-wracking, the aftershocks pale against the main shock. If Batson's home isn't a total loss, everything inside is.
Everything in the kitchen, fireplaces, computers, everything fell in the offices, and cabinets fell. Pretty much anything within a shelf fell out.
Elsewhere, a bridge over a section of the San Andreas fault zone moved a few inches and the pavement cracked. In town, survivors described the 10-15 6.0 magnitude quake as a sudden jolt.
There was no warning, and all of a sudden I'm on the ground. Bam.
It hit.
I started feeling it. I stood up and it got so violent it knocked me over. And so I fell on the floor and I just stayed there.
The kids at Parkfield's one-room schoolhouse got a duck and cover lesson they won't soon forget, and the rest of the day off.
They were scared. They were very scared. Yeah, it was really scary. It was big. It rolled right through and knocked them out of their chairs, and their books fell and chairs fell.
At the Parkfield Cafe, everybody had a story to tell. Everybody except owner Bonnie Spear.
Well, my t-shirt says be here when it happens, and I wasn't here.
But if Jim Batson, whose home is practically on the fault line, is any judge, it will happen again. Until then, most of the people in Parkfield are doing fine.
A Yemeni judge has sentenced 2 men to death for orchestrating the suicide bombing of the USS Cole 4 years ago. 4 other defendants received prison terms ranging from 5 to 10 years. The U.S. warship was in a Yemeni port when it was rammed by a boat filled with explosives. 17 sailors were killed. One of those sentenced to death is an al-Qaeda suspect. He is currently being held in the U.S. He was arrested in the United Arab Emirates 2 years ago and handed over to Washington.
Martha Stewart will serve her 5-month sentence for lying about a stock sale at a federal prison nicknamed Camp Cupcake. The minimum security prison is in Alderson, West Virginia. Stewart reportedly had asked not to be sent to Alderson because it is so far from family and friends. She is to report there by October 8th. After the break, we'll have your weather update, but first, let's go to Chesley with a look at sports.
Up next in sports, I'll tell you the new home for the Expos in the 2005 season and what the Hogs will expect this weekend in Gainesville. If you like sports, I've got it right here. Stay tuned. Your TV Sports is coming up.
Stocks gained for the second session in a row today, with investors scooping up beaten-down tech shares near the end of a tough quarter. Falling oil prices gave the market a boost late in the session. The Nasdaq rose 21 points and the Dow Jones rose 43 points at closing.
It is a test, not just of strength, but of the power of the mind. And if you complete the journey, you will be changed forever. The few, the proud, the Marines.
This is David. Oh, hi. This is what David's done. David went to college. Annapolis. David taught himself to play piano, the sax, even the bagpipes. Well, maybe not the bagpipes. David was NBA Rookie of the Year. He's also been to the Olympics twice. David even became a naval officer. David's sure done a lot. But you know one thing David's never done? Drugs. David doesn't do drugs. Maybe that's why he's done so much.
Thank you for joining us back here at TV 16 Live at 5. Let's take a look at the weather at this time. Current service map around the nation shows we are under high pressure. The front has moved on to our east, but look back to the northwest. This time of year it's frequent to have these. We have a little front, cold front back here in the northern Rockies right now with a low pressure system, and that will be moving our direction and strengthening and joining up with a low pressure system back in Arizona. So we could possibly be seeing some rain this weekend, and I'll be telling you about that in a few minutes. And frequently this time of year we can get a little bit of severe weather out of systems like this, but most of the moisture will be in the northern part of the state and in Missouri with the system, so we're not looking at really the possibility of any severe weather, just maybe some much needed rain for us. Temperatures around the U.S. right now: 70 in Kansas City, 84 in Dallas, 85 in New Orleans, 69 in Sioux Falls, 73 in Denver, and 65 in Albuquerque. So very comfortable conditions out there right now for this time of year. Around the area regionally with our satellite picture, we see in Arkansas it's pretty much clear. There have been some clouds that have formed back in Oklahoma, but for the most part in our area it is clear. We had some morning clouds in the area and those have burned off throughout the day, so it turned out to be just a beautiful day for us here in Arkansas. Temperatures around the area in Arkansas: 75 in Jonesboro and Memphis, 79 in Little Rock, 79 in Hot Springs, 81 in Fort Smith, and 76 in Fayetteville, and of course no rain on our radar right now. The almanac for today: 79 degrees was our high. We didn't even hit 80 degrees, so it was gorgeous out there. 60 degrees was our low this morning. 82 is the normal high, so we are a little bit below normal for this time of year. That's all right. I have a feeling it'll balance back out. 55 is our normal low. 103 was the record back in 1953. That was a hot year. Some of our normals for the past couple of days, some of the records, have been from 1953, so that must have been a hot year. And 34 was the record low back in 1967. Currently we have 79 degrees here in Searcy, 41 the dew point, 25% humidity. It's great. That's what makes the temperature feel so great outside. And variable winds at 7 miles per hour and a falling barometer. Now tonight, mostly clear skies, 52 degrees the low, north-northeasterly winds at 5 to 10 miles per hour. And tomorrow, mostly sunny skies, 80 degrees, so it'll be about like it was today. South-southeasterly winds at 5 miles per hour. Now I want to remind you of our webpage where you can access the weather at any time, www.xpage.com/TV16weather. Now let's take a look at the 5-day forecast. Thursday dry, Friday night looking for some showers and thunderstorms. There could be a few stray showers and thunderstorms in the afternoon, but that's going to be mostly overnight into Saturday morning. And then Sunday looks dry and Monday looks dry. But look at the high on Saturday, 74 degrees. So it's going to be awfully pleasant for this time of year, most definitely. But it might be a little bit cool every once in a while during the evenings. So we might need a jacket.
Well, that's what I was wondering. It seems like it might be a little chilly.
Yes, it could be a little bit chilly, but I think it's going to be great other than a little bit of rain, which we could use right now.
True.
So it's going to be nice, but we could use some rain, definitely, here in Searcy.
Well, that's what we want. We want the weather to be nice, but, you know.
That's right. We can deal with some rain.
We can.
That's right.
Well, thank you so much, Andrew.
Right. Thank you.
Well, after the break, we'll tell you why in the morning your coffee prices will go up.
Show that the average person over a lifetime has 75,302 dreams, 3.8 surprise parties, 563 pairs of socks, and 8.6 different jobs. Is educated by 39.7 teachers, laughs 1.5 million times, finds $8.15 in the sofa, tries 12 different hairstyles, plays 6.4 sports, and owns 3.5 pets. But the average person only has one life, so why mess it up with drugs? A message of 29.3 seconds from a drug-free Navy and Marine Corps.
We want to see our children succeed. But setting easy goals for our kids creates the toughest obstacle they'll ever face. Because succeeding in the real world isn't easy. Help the effort to raise standards in America's public schools. Call 1-800-96-PROMISE.
The price of your morning jolt just went up. Starbucks has announced they'll raise prices by an average of 11 cents at all of their 4,500 outlets. Higher coffee and sugar prices are being blamed for the price hike. Interested in becoming a more knowledgeable driver? All you have to do is push play. CNN explains in Consumer Watch.
20 million car crashes every year. It adds up to millions of dollars in property damage and injuries, and tens of thousands of deaths.
The most serious traffic safety problem we have in this country is complacency.
Take a course, take a test, and take to the road. Learning the basics of driving may seem simple, but a recent study by the AAA Foundation for Traffic Safety and the Better Business Bureau found the majority of Americans don't really know the basics at all. Take car insurance.
The specifics I don't know.
He's not alone. About half in the survey said they didn't know their own liability limits or what is required by the state. and about a third don't know what information to provide at the scene of a crash. And when we ask people what to do to prevent being injured in a crash, all were able to get only one of the answers.
I always wear seatbelts.
To help Americans better understand the basics, a new interactive DVD called Crash Course.
To plot your own crash course.
It walks viewers through insurance coverage and costs, tells you what to keep in your vehicle in the event of a crash, and reinforces responsible driving by reducing in-car distractions, not speeding, and avoiding alcohol and drugs when behind the wheel.
All of us as drivers tend to underestimate the true risks associated with driving. And part of that is that we've made driving so easy.
Finding the new Crash Course DVD is easy. It's in your public library. Actually using what you learn, that may be the hardest part of all. In Washington, I'm Julie Valise.
A record-breaking speeding ticket may not have been as fast as originally thought. A man from Minnesota was issued a 205-mile-per-hour speeding ticket last week. However, motorcycle enthusiasts are questioning the ticket, claiming that such a speed is highly unlikely. Honda motorcycles topping out at about 185 miles per hour would require numerous expensive modifications to reach speeds in excess of 200 miles per hour. Cyclists say that someone with those kinds of modifications wouldn't be joyriding around southern Minnesota. Despite these questions, the Minnesota Department of Public Safety simply reaffirmed their original finding, saying that there's no reason to believe the trooper who issued the ticket was wrong. And now let's go to Chesley Martin with sports.
After traveling from Montreal to Puerto Rico and back to the States to either New York or LA, I'm sure the Expos are tired. Well, now they have a place to settle down. After 33 years, baseball will return to the capital city. Major League Baseball announced today that the Montreal Expos will play in Washington, D.C. at RFK Stadium in the 2005 season. They have not decided, though, whether they'll keep the Expos as their mascot. The Expos played their last game in Montreal last night against the Florida Marlins. The Expos played a total of 2,786 games in Montreal. After a good performance last Saturday, many Hog fans are wondering why the Hogs are not in the top 25. With 3 wins and an excellent showing against the 5th-ranked Texas Longhorns, why not? Well, they need to convince about 100 more votes to get in. So let's take a look at the top 25. There it is. Southern Cal is at the top of the top 10 with a 4-0 record. They have a total of 1,605 votes. You can see Oklahoma and Georgia, Miami and Texas round out the top 5, with West Virginia, Ohio State, Auburn, Florida State, and California rounding out 6 through 10. Now look, Arkansas has 26 AP votes, and the 25th ranked team has 135 votes. So that kind of tells you where Arkansas stands. They will definitely have their shot to impress the voters this weekend when they travel to the Swamp. The 16th ranked Florida Gators will host the Hogs this weekend. I'm sure if you're not a video game player, but in the recent edition of NCAA Football 2005, the hardest place to play is the Swamp. It's crazy there. You're not just playing the Gators, you're also playing 80,000 fans. So good luck to the Hogs. The game will be televised on CBS at noon, so tune in and woo, Pig Suey! And now your Harding sports. Harding men and women's soccer team will host Delta State in conference action tomorrow, with the women starting at 5 and the men following at 7. The women look to continue their winning streak while the men look to start one. Digs, kills, and blocks are all part of the success of the Lady Bison volleyball team. The Lady Bisons played in Conway on Tuesday night and made quick work of the Sugar Bears from Central Arkansas. They won the match in 3 straight games, 30-23, 30-28, and 30-12. Kate Kennedy led the way with 12 kills. She is now second on Harding's all-time list with 1,567. Kennedy is also on pace to pass Veronica Peach for kills in a season. She needs 80 more to pass her. Sydney Vottenheimer has stepped up and started putting a few numbers of her own. She had 11 kills and led the team in 14 digs in Tuesday night's win. Bison extended their record to 13-2 overall and 3-0 in Gulf South play. UCA falls to 4-11 overall and 1-2 in conference matches. Lady Bisons next travel to Russellville to play Arkansas Tech on Saturday at 1 o'clock. That's your TV 16 Sports. I'm Chesley Martin.
And those Lady Bison's volleyball team are doing great, aren't they?
They are on a roll.
I'm amazed. I've never really been into volleyball, but our Lady Bisons are amazing. Now, they play Russellville, so is Russellville a difficult team to beat? Is that going to be?
You know, I don't think they're real difficult, but you know, you can't take any team for granted. You know, if you go in, big-headed, you're going to come out with a loss. So you can't ever look anybody over.
That's true. Well, thank you, Chesley, for sports today. Ever wanted to be on a Hallmark card? After the break, we will tell you about one man's surprise greeting card. Stay with us.
I haven't made up my mind yet. What are you going to take?
Algebra.
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 Algebra. Algebra! 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 Algebra!
If no one's explained how algebra, geometry, and calculus can improve your future, demand that you be told. Call NACME. We'll tell you.
What would you do if you were on fire? I don't know. Jump in a tub? No, you gotta stop, drop, and roll.
If your clothes got fire, you gotta drop to the ground. If your clothes got fire, you gotta go round and round. You just stop, drop, and roll. Get down on the ground and stop, drop, and roll. Stop, drop, and roll.
Now imagine a greeting card where the face greeting you saw was yours. Imagine the first you heard about it was from friends and the caption was less than flattering. As Jan Moose reports, it happened to one top model.
How would you feel if you found yourself staring out from the front of a Hallmark card?
Someone sent it to me in the mail, and I think it's hilarious.
Hilarious, except for the birthday greeting inside. The hair loss that comes with age isn't always a bad thing. No wonder the Hallmark spokesperson is asking.
Was he upset? Is Brian upset?
Brian Crumley admits he was a little offended. At the time the photo was taken, he was modeling for trendy advertisers and cutting-edge magazines.
So you were modeling as like a good-looking guy.
Right.
At the same time that Hallmark was using him as living proof that bald is beautiful.
Looks like it could be a wig, actually.
Ever since Brian was a kid, his hallmark has been his 70s-looking hair, the kind celebrated by hair.
Let it fly in the breeze and get caught in the trees. Give a home to the fleas in my hair.
Friends send Brian the card with notes like, they wish they had your hair. Brian signed a release for the photographer who took the picture, who then sold it to a stock photo agency, which in turn sold it to Hallmark. So Brian has no legal recourse, but he does have a message for Hallmark.
You like your hair.
I love my hair. I love my hair.
We love your hair, too.
The card has proven popular, over 86,000 sold.
Has anyone ever told you they like to run their fingers through it?
People want to touch my hair all the time.
He's even been featured in a German magazine for hairdressers, but on a Hallmark card, it's enough to curl your hair. Ginny Moe, CNN, New York.
Well, you know, Andrew, it's a big weekend for Harding's campus. Bison Days come in.
We do have Bison Days.
Parents' night for football. You know, we're all
That's right.
excited. But what's the weather going to be like?
Well, that cold front that I was talking about that's
Yes.
now in the northern Rockies, that'll be coming through. And it's going to bring us a couple of things. It's
Okay.
going to bring us a reinforcing shot of cold air, so about 74 degrees for the high, and maybe some rain, but that's much needed. So
Definitely, like
we
you
shouldn't
said.
complain too much, about a 40% chance.
Still a nice weekend, beautiful weekend. Thank you so much for joining us tonight on Live at 5.
From all of us at TV 16, have a great night.
Good night.